Hello and welcome to the show, AlphaJackal. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, getting ready to go on a plane and then go to Masters. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait.
Yeah, we can't wait to see Rival play. Looking at the schedule, you guys probably have the hardest schedule, maybe. I mean, outside of maybe NRG, but even then, like NRG's got the that first cupcake game, and then, but you guys got to play Luminosity. Then you got to play the winner of Obey and NRG. And then you got to play Eager because there's no way Eager loses on that side of the bracket.
We don't lose. Eager can't lose.
I mean, Dignitas might give you a run for your money. I feel.
Really?
I mean, a run for how much money though? That's the question. I mean, how much of the money of a run?
I definitely think it's going to go to a game 5. The Dig v Eager.
Ooh, do you? All right, okay. I'll respect the game 5. Hopefully it goes to 4 and we win it. 3-1. But I'll take.
No. I want whoever gets to the final against us to be tided out from the 5 game set earlier.
Yeah, it's just really hard to look at the bracket and say Eager's not gonna make it to the finals. I mean, just they got to beat they got to beat a Latin team, then they got to beat either Dignitas or Soar, and then that's it. That's all they got. So, but we're going to talk about Rival. First off, how does it feel to dethrone NRG from their land streak of never losing the lands?
I mean, it felt surreal at first to know that they'd pulled it off, but they put in so much work, they put in so much effort over the past few weeks, and especially in the run-up to the LAN, that I knew it was going to happen the second we made day 3. I knew that the second we beat Inix that we were going to beat NRG, we were going to dethrone their LAN spot, and it just feels really, really good to finally show them that they are defeatable.
How did you know that though? I mean, what's changed? Like, how far is it that NRG has fallen that far? Or is it that the rest of the EU has really just brought up the game?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you heard NRG, especially Yamin, talk about the fact that they took a small break between the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4 because they didn't want to get burnt out. And that just allowed some of the other teams like Obey to catch up with them and even overtake them, as you saw in Week 1. And we just took forward our momentum from that day 2 into that day 3, and that's why I knew we were going to win, because we just had all the hype going for us, we had all that pent-up excitement going for us into that third day.
All right. What has changed with this Rival team from the beginning of the split? Because you guys had your moments across the spring split, but you guys never looked dominating, I would say. But these last few games in the land, you guys have looked absolutely amazing. So what kind of changed between now and then, or then and now?
Well, what really changed was the fact that we started cutting out those small, silly mistakes that we kept on making. People started to play more as a unit rather than as individuals, like they had started to do so. But I think the biggest thing that really happened was we stuck to a play style rather than trying to conform to one that we thought would do best against the enemy. And you saw that online. Every single time we went into a game, it was pretty much the exact same draft, similar play style, and played it pretty much exactly the same. Whilst in the season, we didn't do that. We played some very off-meta stuff to us, and it didn't really work out.
Okay. If you had to point to one person on the team as the MVP, whether it's through the LAN and the spring split or one for each, who would that player be? Who would you point to as like the guy?
I'd say during the online portion of the split, I'd have to go for Votes. He played extremely well, extremely consistently, I'd say. Probably the most consistent player we had. During the LAN, you can't look past Ice. He just dominated proceedings at the LAN, especially on that Susano of his. Overall, though, I'd have to say Deathwalker. He played almost perfectly at the LAN. There was a couple of instances where he did fall behind early. Game 2 against Elevate, I believe, was his worst performance. But you can't really talk about everyone as an individual. It's a very team-oriented effort.
Yeah. I know, me personally, like one of like one of the first games that happened. I was watching Rival, and I saw Vote, and you guys were losing. I mean, you guys were absolutely getting hammered. But the positioning I saw Vote, and I think he was playing Medusa that game. He wasn't getting caught out. He wasn't dying. Like, he was surviving the skirmishes. His positioning was amazing, and I was like, even though you guys were losing, that was a big deal for me. I looked at that and I was like, if they can get better, I don't know, like synergy and mechanics like across the board, like that's going to be great. So like on the show I said, my person to watch is going to be Vote. And then the next week he kind of had the worst game of the split, I think it was, and I was like, oh, never mind. I'm not looking at Vote anymore.
Like I said, it just comes down to consistency, and he started to perform consistently the longer the split went on.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the bracket, are you guys worried about your path to the finals?
We're not worried. We knew that no matter who we got put up against, if it was Luminosity, Dignitas, or even Obey after the Direwolves match, depending on where we finished, that it was going to be a tough bracket either way. And if you want to become the best team in the world, you have to go up against the best teams in the world, no matter what.
Okay. Are you guys feeling confident going up against Luminosity first? I mean, there's a lot of talent, a lot of veteranship on that team. Do you guys feel like is that overwhelming for the squad? Is that like I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Is that intimidating for the guys?
I mean, if you want to talk about intimidating teams, NRG. and we came out of that okay. We came out of that like with flying colors in Game 3. So no, we're not scared at all. We're not like we are confident going in. We have a strategy in mind to take them down.
All right. What's the strategy? What we all want to know.
You can't, come on. Oh yeah. The plan is to go ahead and copy the
go ahead and let us look right into your playbook, understand all your picks and bans, the numbers. Just go ahead and give that to us.
Come on, just give us.
Okay, it's Artemis Jungle. It's fantastic. Doesn't run out of mana at all. Like, it's fantastic. And it's the best ganks ever.
You're obviously getting Blink on Artemis, because that has to be a thing, of course. And then what's your second relic? What's the secret second relic on Artemis?
Thunder, obviously.
Oh no, you go Bracer of Undoing and then an Aegis, always, every single time.
All right, there it is. Got it. Keyword, boys. Let's go.
There we go.
All right, so you guys got Luminosity, and then you obviously you guys are going to be playing NRG or Obey. You've already said that you're not really afraid of NRG, but what about Obey? Obey has looked really, really strong this split with no signs of really slowing down. They've had a couple hiccups here and there from Elevate obviously took them down a peg, but when they lost games, it was more the other team playing a perfect game than Obey really losing outright. So how do you feel about having to play Obey? Do you guys feel like they maybe were inflated from the online play and maybe not as good as they've seemed?
I honestly think that if anyone's going to prove the toughest test and who's got the best chance of beating us, it is going to be Obey. I honestly think that aside from us, they're the best team out there right now. And I don't think they overperformed on the split. I think they performed just as everybody expected them to. And they're not unbeatable. No one's unbeatable. Everyone has weaknesses you can exploit. Everyone has plays you can use to defeat, and it's going to be the same for Obey. It's just the window of opportunity is going to be smaller.
Okay. Looking ahead, you guys have really shown up. I don't want to say out of nowhere, but you guys have shown up out of nowhere. Like, really, no one expected you to do as well. Everyone expected Ionix and NRG to come out on the EU side. Maybe didn't give you enough credit. How does that feel? I mean, we talked about how beating NRG felt, but how does it feel to come into the LAN maybe as the underdog and then leave as we crushed everybody that we played?
Well, that's one of the advantages of coming in as the underdog. People don't really expect you, and so the teams later on in the competition, like Saw, didn't really plan strategies around us. They didn't really pay us too much attention. So to have that underdog puts like no pressure on you. If you lose, people expect it in any way, no harm, no foul. If you win, you've just taken it against all odds and performed out of your mind. So, yeah, we were fine with it.
Going forward, you guys said that you were sticking to a style and playing with it, instead of kind of trying to draft different styles to suit the teams you're playing against. Moving on to like this LAN and like the Masters, is that kind of change up, you think? Because I mean, with the LAN meta going to emerge, you might not be able to necessarily play your game. You'll have to adapt. Do you guys feel like you'll be able to adapt when that time comes?
I don't think we'll be able to. I think we will be able to adapt, surely. The players have deep enough gold pools to pull out some pocket picks if needs be, to conform to a particular play style if it develops on LAN. But at the same time, we won't be forced into doing it unless it's like a last resort.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would be dragged tooth and nail towards that LAN meta. Really, we want to just try and play what we want to play as often as possible.
I mean, from a not a player or a coach standpoint, that seems like a dangerous strategy to have. I mean, you look at Eager, they play anything, everything. They establish the meta. They run with it. They are the adaptable team. They plug and play. They throw whatever the hell they want on Divios, and he makes it work. And I feel like we've seen like the rigidity in Smite is really costing teams.
Well, the thing is, they bring out completely separate drafts, which on paper looks like it might be being played in a separate way. If you look at the end of the screen, start to go, oh yeah, they probably with Anubis went for a lot of objectives, or with Zeus went for a lot of early kills. But you see all these different drafts come out, and they usually conform to a similar play style. If a team's very heavily dependent on objectives, even if they draft a non-objective control comp, they will still go for those objectives. They'll just change up the position, they'll change up the styles. But the core idea of the play style of the team will remain the same no matter what the draft.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So going forward into this new LAN, obviously you guys have you had your scrims and stuff leading up to this. Is there anything that has kind of started to be picked up with the last couple patches? Any changes? I mean, casual games. I've been seeing a shit ton of Ravana. Is that something we might be seeing in the SPL coming up?
Yeah, we could potentially see it. Obviously, we haven't had a whole lot of practice on it because we only had about 4 or 5 scrims by the time we got back before we had to leave. So, say we'll guarantee to see it as maybe a bit of an oversight, but it's definitely a strong pick in my eyes that we could definitely see.
Is there anybody else, any gods that we haven't really seen shine coming back? Any old favorites maybe?
Artemis Jungle.
All right.
It's real. It's real. It's coming.
We think he's trolling us, but he's actually going to bring it out.
Yeah.
Like that's. I'm actually
no one believes this about the
Opwash. Yeah.
The Opwash. Good God.
And the only people that really believe this about the Opwash were every single EU team.
The subtle dig at NA, or was it even supposed to be that subtle?
Semi-subtle. It was semi-subtle.
So I mean, looking at it, we should probably. I mean, the first matchup is NA EU, and then everything else. I mean, then you've got NA EU, and I mean, you've got apart from the Obey NRG match that's going to happen. Every match is across region, so that this should be interesting to really see. Apart from NRG and Obey being the strong picks, is there anybody at the LAN who you might see as like the dark horse? I mean, other than yourselves, I guess. Like, who would you really just want to avoid playing if you could?
I mean, we don't want to avoid playing anybody. Whoever is placed in front of us, we will play, and we will look to beat as quickly as possible, obviously. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on Team Dignitas right now. It's a very strong roster that's been together for like a split now. They started to iron out a few of the core issues with the squad, and I think they're going to turn up big on LAN.
All right. I also want to say that's a fucking damn good answer on your end. Like, we're not going to avoid anybody. We want to play everybody. If we're going to be the best, we want to play the best. That's exactly the kind of attitude and mindset you want to see from a team. Gore, do you have any questions?
Just when you were getting prepared, like, transitioning away from online to going into LAN, and of course we see, a huge difference in play, like you said before, and during the split while you were online, it was really inconsistent except for maybe Vote, who was pretty much just consistently able to do exactly what you needed him to do, but the rest of the team didn't seem to fall into place. Do you think, like, being in LAN, being in person, like, I guess kind of solidified how real this was for everybody?
I think when you get to a LAN environment, nerves play a big part, and you play more passive. You play a bit further back than you would normally do in the online stages until you get comfortable, until you start to really get back into the zone and into that feeling that you had at home. So that's, to me, is what happens most of the time. Is players play a bit further back, a bit more passive, a bit more calculated. And to us, it seemed to just stick throughout the entire LAN that we played that calculated, confident style, and it got us that win.
Yeah, it definitely was able to skyrocket you guys to the top. I mean, I kind of expect to see similar playstyle just because going forward, I mean, like, the difference is going to be maybe a bigger stage, maybe a little bit more nervous, but you're still going to be, I want to even say, closer to home. Technically, you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable on LAN. So I think Masters, I'm expecting another really great performance.
And again, we're going into this as underdogs, so again, there's no real pressure on us. There's slight pressure given that we did take out energy and stopped winning a LAN yet again, but there really is no onus on us to win games. Everyone expects Luminosity, but they're wrong. We should really be taking that, and yeah, I just think that it might be a repeat of the Gauntlet LAN.
So there's got to be something like that's the umpteenth dig at NA and Luminosity. I mean, what's the huge weakness you're seeing there? Like, is it just straight up confidence because you beat NRG, like, so you're not worried about Luminosity? EU's greater than NA, or is there something fundamental? You don't have to say what, but is there something fundamental about Luminosity that you guys like your matchup with?
I'd say there's a little bit of everything in there. Everyone from Europe agrees that Europe is the stronger region by far. I mean, you only have to look at the Gauntlet games.
Whoa.
Hey, all I'm saying is we went 2-1 with every single team. The second we faced, it was a 2-0. The second energy face, and then a team 2-0.
Your top side is strong. Your top four are damn strong, but the bottom half, like, yeah.
Okay, we'll say top 5 EU are stronger. Bottom 3 EU are weak, are a bit weaker.
Okay. All right. At least NA has the bottom 3. Yes.
bottom 3, 37.5%. We represent.
That's fine. I'm good with that though.
There's obviously we've got a lot of analysis on Luminosity for the past week, and we're going to go into LAN with the game plan around that analysis. Make sure we stick to it as we did against Enix and against Energy, and hopefully come out on top.
Right.
Like all I know is it's going to be a fantastic set, and whichever team wins is going to have quite a difficult matchup in the next round.
Yeah, there's not going to be really.
There are no easy matchups.
Well, NRG's got LG Direwolves. That's an easy matchup.
Hey, don't sleep on the Australians, okay?
No, NRG has not fallen.
Someone who can agree with me.
Absolutely not. NRG has not fallen that far that they're gonna lose to LG Direwolves. It's not gonna happen.
Fanboying, dude.
It's not.
I think you just have to realize that if adapting doesn't show up, man, LG might be able to take it, dude. I've been making a lot of jokes on Twitter about things, I don't want to, so I just realistically, NRG is just not, they're a great team, but show up, man, show back up. I don't that's like, if in like sports analogies, the NBA champion just all of a sudden go 0-20 and are barely in contention of making the playoffs. Like, that shouldn't happen. If you're a championship team, you should have that caliber, regardless of the fact of like, oh, we haven't practiced. That to me, that's an excuse. I don't dig excuses. I want results. Like, don't give me the, oh, we just didn't practice that hard in the spring split. Well, you got caught up to, bro. Like, that's not good.
Which is, what do they do after being caught up? Do they just fall by the wayside, or do they pick back from where they left off and regrind
Big
back
question.
up to the top?
Yeah, big question. Yeah, I mean, what is going to happen?
And that, like, if you're going to be looking out for a specific team at LAN, watch energy. Because we honestly think that we've ignited a fire in them again. Like, just turn on the angry energy switch, and they might start demolishing teams again.
Well, they've been enjoying a nice DC trip for the past week, so they haven't obviously got that Smite practice in a little while. Obviously,
No. Raffer's been playing NA ranked.
Oh boy, not NA ranked.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh Lord, not the NA rank scene that's so competitive. Oh man, good gosh, because that really shows things.
What's next? Co-op against medium bots?
Ooh. The only reason I know Raffer's been playing NA ranked is because he talked about being fucking Q dodged like 4 games in a row. Like, he got like straight up, like somebody dodged the Q, and then they got into a game and someone dodged the pick ban, and then that happened, like they did the pick ban phase, god trading everything, and right before that ended, somebody dipped out. Oh god. But back on track here. The only easy matchups are going to be, the first round with NRG and then Eager playing the Latin team. Every other game in this LAN seems like it's going to be a really good match, or at least have the potential to. So I know we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
As far as, you being a coach, how much of the success from Rival comes from you? How much of it comes from the players themselves? How much has your steady guiding hand delivered them to victory?
I just gave them direction and a couple of hits of advice here and there. The players, they're the ones that really take home the cake. They're the ones that deserve all the plaudits.
That's a true.
But they have the I mean, because I gave you some credit on Twitter. Obviously, we've been there. You did a great job coaching. I'm like, this is a team that was kind of just mediocre and that was middle of the line team, and I don't think anyone can really deny that they weren't just like in the middle. And now all of a sudden being able to compete at the LAN, it takes practice as a team, but you got to still take credit where credit's due. I mean, maybe you're not like the Bill Belichick up in there as far as like the head coaching, but it's still, you have, the players have to play well, but they have to execute the plan that you've come up with. So I mean, they did a good job doing that, and obviously that means they listen to you, which is just you being a good coach in that aspect. So I mean, you got to take your credit.
And that was sort of a small issue at the very beginning of the split, was maybe not listening to each other a whole lot, but that certainly has been cleared up now.
Good to hear. All right. So I think that's it for our really official questions. Unless Freight Gord, you guys have any other hard-hitting questions for our guest? Take that as a no. All right, so AlphaJackal, this is your point of the show. We give you our soapbox to stand on. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want with it. The floor is yours.
Okay. So I want to talk a bit about off-meta picks.
Okay.
You go into a ranked game, but you go and watch on Twitch, and drafting phase is going pretty normal, as you would see, like maybe a Capri, a Susano, a Zeus maybe pop up for one team, and then all of a sudden in the second banning phase, Kali shows up, or a Arpois shows up, or something completely off-meta like an AMC could show up as well. And a lot of people take that in ranked as troll. A lot of people take it as, oh, they're just playing it because they don't really care about the game going on right now, and they just want to have fun, which I can understand. It's important to have fun when you're playing a game like Smite. But when you go into an SPL game and you bring that stuff out, and then you play it in ranked because you've seen an SPL player pick it, you have to make sure that you know exactly why they picked it, why they picked those off-meta picks, why they picked those like particular matchups. And it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of practice, and quite a bit of theory crafting to come up with some of those counter matchups. So, I don't know, if you want to be playing stuff like your AMCs, your Upwash, Loki, or Anubis, just make sure you know when to pick and when to have those specific matchups, because they are really strong picks in the right hands and in the right situations.
Did you say Loki's a strong pick?
In the right situation.
In the right situation.
What's AlphaJackal? Sit me down. Why would I pick Loki?
When they have 2 hunters and you can one-shot them because they don't know what the hell's going on and they're out of position and you're an assassin that has that potential.
So they have 2 low mobility ADCs, and there's one in the ADC position that you don't want to be fighting at all in the early game. So let's say, I don't know, who would fit that bill?
Uller probably, maybe you don't want to fight early on. I don't know.
I'd say you wouldn't really want to fight an Uller, you wouldn't really want to fight a CERN, you really want to fight an Onher, an AMC. Like, those are gods you don't really want to be fighting early. Skadi as well. You really don't want to be fighting a Skadi early, because she will outpoke you with Calder and Piercing Cold, and then just back off and clear the wave. So, yeah, there are a few gods in the ADC position you really don't want to be fighting early. You just want to farm up against to get to the late game. So you just put somebody in the ADC position who doesn't want to be in the ADC position. Should also be roaming around the jungle, being a nuisance, like, I don't know, a Mercury, like we saw yesterday in the Xbox League. You could put in Loki there as well, and just look to pick off that one person. Like, and this sort of theory, this sort of matchup, is difficult to execute, which is why you have to have practice on it. It's why you have to make sure you understand why you are picking it and why you think it's the best option possible. Well, if they have that Skadi in the ADC position, if the second Calder gets put on you, you can go invisible, and that breaks off the Rune of the Hunt, and suddenly Calder no longer tracks you. And then you can go into the jungle, put down your decoy onto the wave, go annoy the mid laner for a bit, make sure that he's nervous on his toes. Forces a lot more wards onto the left-hand side, so in about the 15-minute mark, Portal Demon could be a very easy, viable option for your team. And the mid lane will have to make sure that he's on his toes consistently. If he steps a foot out of position, you can rotate over, you can kill him with the help of your team.
All right, you guys, you heard that here first. Mercury ADC, Loki support in your ranked games. Play it works.
Not Loki support.
Thank goodness I don't play ranked.
Yeah, sorry, other way around. Loki ADC, Mercury support.
You know, if tier 2 Heavy Hammer still had the slow on it, that would be viable.
God.
Oh my God, I remember when people used to run that. Oh, you just gave me like a heart attack. Oh my gosh, dude. The bad memories of the slow, of the Heavy Hammer. So annoying.
All right, so that's it for the interview. Thank you, AlphaJack, for coming on. Good luck to Rival upcoming matches. We'll be rooting for you. Can't wait to see those off-meta picks you bring into the game.
Thank you very much, and yeah, we'll hope to bring out as many as possible.
All right, see you there.